The film Schindler's List depicts Nazi Germany's war on the Jews, or as it is more commonly known, the Holocaust. We are shown the impact of Nazi racial policy on Jews, non-Jews, and how this process was carried out. We also see how Oskar Schindler changes from being a businessman and interested in making a profit for himself into a man of compassion who, when faced with the reality of what is happening to Jews, tries to save those he can, namely his 1,200 workers. The film also depicts war as an opportunity for people to change and do good, or commit atrocities knowing they can get away with it due to the circumstances of war. The film does not really delve deeply into why the Holocaust happens. A lot of the accompanied reading helped me understand the context, and Hitler and his Nazi party came to power mainly due to the fact that the Weimar Republic was very fragile and not fully supported by the army, in particular because of the surrender in World War I and the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, which was seen as a betrayal of the army and Germany, a stab in the back. Political instability, the actual terms of the treaty, the territory lost to France, the restriction on army numbers, and finally the economic collapse brought on by the Great Depression were the nails in the coffin for the Weimar Republic. A lot of this is covered in the book Republic to Reich, and it helped me see the problems Germany faced at the end of the World War I and why these problems led to World War II. Chapters 2 and 3 cover this very well. Hitler was anti-Semitic and blamed the Jews for all of Germany's problems. Hitler's feelings about race were reflected in the idea that blonde, blue-eyed Germans were the Aryan race, superior race, and that Jews were inferior. The extract from a speech by Goebbels shows how propaganda pushed the idea that the Jews were the enemy of the German people, justifying what was happening to them because they deserved it. This attitude is reflected in the film by the girl who calls out "Goodbye Jews" repeatedly. There is no compassion for them being not only forced out of their home, but forced out of the neighborhood. Once in power, Jewish shops were boycotted, Jews lost jobs, their shops were marked with a yellow star or the word Juden. In schools, anti-Semitic ideas were being taught. In 1935, the laws were passed taking away German citizenship from Jews and forbidding marriages between Jews and non-Jews. Chapter 4 of Berman's book gives a lot of details about the build-up of harassment and increasing difficulties for Jews up to the Nuremberg laws. This increasing victimization culminated into a night of riots and violence in 1938 after a Nazi diplomat in Paris had been killed. This was known as Kristallnacht. According to the book Republic to Reich, over 90 people were killed, almost 1,000 Jewish shops and businesses were looted, and 191 synagogues were burnt down. In the beginning of the film, we are taken to 1939 and the defeat of Poland and the forced registration of Jews in Poland. The German soldiers cutting the braids of a Jewish man while laughing, and the Jews wearing the yellow star to mark them out from the rest of the population. The harassment and victimization are realistically portrayed in the film. A woman complains in the film to the Jewish council about being forced out of her house and the house given to Germans. She also resists the idea of wearing the yellow star, asking what will they do if we get rid of this. The response is they will shoot you. The rounding up of the Jews into ghettos showed how quickly they were moved out, only allowed to take a few belongings with them, and the conditions in the ghetto were overcrowded with room sharing. What the film didn't go into greatly was why Poland was the area where so many ghettos, labor camps, and eventually death camps were established. More Polish Jews died in the Holocaust than Jews from any other nation, around 3 million. This was referenced from the book The Holocaust, chapter 13, page 295. The book goes into great detail about the death camps in chapter 13. In the film, only the Jews seen as being able to work were moved from the ghetto into Krakow to a labor camp in Plaszow, run by Amon Goff, and then the death camp in Auschwitz. The rest of the elderly, sick, and the rest in Zone B were seen as being of no use to the Germans and were liquidated. The atrocities carried out by Goff at the labor camp were real. The workers knew they could be killed for the slightest reason and were terrified of him. This insanity is shown in two scenes of the film, one being when the Jewish engineer points out that for foundations isn't right, and the young boy who is shot for not cleaning the bath properly. The character of Goff also reflects his indoctrination through propaganda that the Jews are no better than animals. In a scene with Helen, he is attracted to her but fights against her. Finally, the terror of Auschwitz is shown in the scene where the women are forced to undress and enter showers. Luckily for them, they are actual showers. They have heard of the rumors, and this had been discussed in a previous scene, where the women were in their bunks and talking about the gassing of Jews. Many of the women can't believe it. One of them says, "What use does it make to kill your workforce?" This reflects that many were in denial about what was happening. We see him break down in the end when he sees his car and he thinks about how many more people he could have saved if he had given it up and sold it. The other strong theme is that in saving his workers, he saved himself in a way and became a better man because his priority was not making money anymore. Overall, the film gave insights into the atrocities committed against Jews during World War II. It explained Oskar Schindler's part at the time and how his attitude towards Jews changed when he saw the reality of what they were facing. The film also showed how this process of genocide was carried out and the sheer terror and misery they faced every day struggling to survive. The idea that despite the brutality, people must have hope was also another thing. The accompanied readings helped me understand the context to this situation, the defeat at the end of World War I, reactions of the people to loss, new government and the Treaty of Versailles, restrictions and losses, and how the Jews were the scapegoats for the problems. The readings helped me see how Hitler and the Nazis used these problems to justify their anti-Semitism and put in place the final solution with the aid of propaganda. Also, the fact that Poland was used as a base for all the deported Jews in order to get rid of them from Germany, and in the end to get rid of them through extermination.